Welcome to day number 91 of walking across the earth in Minecraft. Today, we are heading towards this area down here, which is, well, basically this lake is called, well, I'm not even going to try to pronounce names, honestly, but the main place is Destruction Bay, which is a town that's alongside of this roadway, which keeps going down this path, as you can see. And overall, we're about halfway through the territory of Yuccan, getting closer to south of wherever, it's all just basically in the middle of nowhere, okay? Don't get it twisted. So let's just get that straight. So, overall, yeah, it's actually raining right now. So apparently, you know, that means that it's raining in this place in real life. Because that's how the system of weather works. That's right. This mod is 5,000 IQ. Because it takes the weather of wherever, it takes multiple things, like the map and the current geography, along with the weather information, and all that junk. And it just translates it live into this game. I've said all this stuff 1,000 times, so I'll just shut my trap and get on with this continuation of this thing. I gotta turn this down just for the sake of this. So roughly 1,480 kilometers in. Actually just about 1,500 kilometers. Which puts us at about 75% of the way to breaking the officially documented world record. Which is set at 2,000 kilometers. Also known as 1 million meters. The only problem with the weather system, just along with the map system as well in the game, as it will translate to be more realistic, and then, of course, everything is exaggerated, because real life is just way more exaggerated than Minecraft is. Minecraft is scaled down to where things are a lot smaller, therefore it's less overwhelming, and things last shorter, so it doesn't get annoying, like rain. Or rain in real life lasts for a long time. So this rain is not going to go away within like 10-15 minutes. It's going to be here the whole episode. Unless I actually literally walk to a place where there's just no rain. Or that. That's cool. Bye-bye webcam quality. It was fun while it lasted. I'll miss you. This could honestly be the best ASMR. I bet there's at least one person that just hates hearing my voice because they use this as just some kind of literal sleep thing. In which case, I'm sorry for talking. As you can tell, snow doesn't seem to start gathering on the ground. Because I guess this is the way of it trying to generate hail. When hail is on the radar for this area, it'll just do snow and rain. Which is why what you're seeing probably doesn't make any sense. And I also realize that I am causing just even more unnecessary distortion by jumping up and down, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Don't knock it till you try it. Well, seems like I have a big gaping clip approaching me. Of which I still don't know, like, the actual meaning behind why those are there. Something tells me that that's not actually there in real life. Okay, well, looks like we're already in the clear. Great music timing. Definitely not planned. Apparently I'm turning into a Smurf again. Oh, hey, you remind me of someone who I used to know, who abandoned me and just no longer here. They're somewhere back there, miles away. I've probably told this story before, but I'm gonna say it again just in case. Because there has been 90 installations of this series at this point. And I can only imagine that I've rambled on like hundreds of times. Basically to the point where I could not even recall any single one story that I haven't actually said. But honestly, it's more of a funny story rather than a scary or sad or even awkward story. It has to do with one of the very unique kinds of characters that I've had to deal with my life, which I have very specific names for, of which I've actually used in other stories in this series. We had one of them was Kyle, of course Kyle, predictable name. The other one was there was an Evan for sure. There was a Jimmy, Jack. You get the point. I'm assuming I'm just going by the basis that you have no idea what I'm talking about yet. You're not familiar with any of that. But anyways, Kyle just happened to be this kid in the school who was the fat kid, and everyone was just really scared of him because of the germs. And not only was he like, of course, not only was he kind of just known for being like fat, obviously, but also because he would like act really disturbing in public, almost to the extent where you would think like, this guy just has to be doing this on purpose. He likes it. He likes being treated like that. Oh, goodness gracious. What just happened? Oh, come on. Yeah, I love you, Google Maps. Like, he would just pick his nose in public and just overall act with really not really any care to like anyone, like the way he was perceived by anyone else. Obviously, just not really caring about acting like a normal person. So everyone was like always scared of him, like literally physically coming in contact. Like the type of thing where, like, the overall like worst thing that could ever happen to you would be getting partnered with them in class or something. That would be like the end of your life. You'd have to suffer the actual collateral. You'd have to suffer like the reverse side effects of it. Like if you were partnered with him, then you like people would not want to talk to you anymore. It's because they wouldn't want to get around you. So it was basically like that. Like he was the epitome of the ultimate just what's the word for it? Like the ultimate come on brain, figure it out. The ultimate bad thing. Was it what's the like what's it called? Oh my god, forget it. He was weird. It was a weird kid. Okay? He was a weird kid who was overweight, and everyone thought he was weird. And to the point where the whole school like made up a whole game called Kyle Tag, where you just like all the children on the playground would start running away from him because he would just start chasing everyone. He would literally just be chasing people on the playground all day because they were so petrified of being touched. You couldn't even be touched by this guy because it was just And the school was like, no, you can't do that. That's mean and bullying. But you dang well knew that the guy liked it because he wouldn't be participating if he was so freaking like if he was like if it was some kind of negative thing or some crap. Apparently all street cred is good cred, I guess, like even if it's negative or whatever. No one wanted to be around him, basically. And one day he just shows up on my like front lawn as I'm pulling up after school, sitting in like a lawn chair in my old house. And just sitting there like casually as if there's just nothing unusual about it. And he's like, "Hello there. I've been expecting you." And it's obviously like the worst nightmare of a situation. Just seeing that, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? Obviously, it wasn't like I invited the guy. He was just sitting on my lawn. So obviously, because like the adult way of doing things is to be kind, letting them in. Oh, you must be a friend. You must be a friend, eh? Now you can come on in because that's the only reason why you be here, because you're probably friends, eh? Of course, I was unfortunately like part of the sheep mentality of being like, oh, get away from me, even though I really just didn't actually care either way. Because, yeah, you could say it was quite sad, honestly, that the kid had to be treated that way, even though clearly wanted it, because otherwise why would you encourage it by participating in a game of tag where the whole entire school runs away from you and you're chasing them? Like, yeah, you could, like, it was not just one humongous, like, it's not like everyone was just bullying him and he was just like, oh, it was just this victim. Like, no, he liked it. So don't give me that. So now he's at my house, and then of course me mum had to make grilled cheese sandwiches. It's like, oh, well, here's my hospitality for you. So basically the reason he showed up to my house was because he wanted to see my secret laboratory, which of course I blabbered on about at all times throughout school. And that was a whole different story. Basically, it was based on the fact that my house actually had an underground compartment that was used by whoever the previous owner was, and it had technology in it. And there was an actual, like, ladder going down into it with an old unfunctional iron door, which could have been used in like a laboratory. And in there, it's like it was completely defunct and non-functional computing technology, and it's a laboratory. And it's because of that I was naturally like calling it a laboratory, based off the influence of a childhood TV show called Dexter's Laboratory, because I felt like in some way spiritually connected. Like this show is an analogy to what I have. Like I actually have that. I have a thing in my house. It's like, so I was like, yeah, I'm a scientist. I have a secret laboratory, but for whatever reason, Kyle was just super obsessed with like apparently wanting to see this, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, obviously like him trying to talk to me about it in real life school, and me being like, okay, whatever, just don't touch me. Like, it's like obviously pretty mean, but once again, like in that way, like he was technically the most popular person in school. Like everyone, in the worst way, everyone just knew about him in all the wrong reasons. Like, yeah, I like stay away from him. That's like what everyone said. This was just a universal thing. All children in the whole school apparently were just. It was just a known thing. Stigma, that's what it is. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, the ultimate stigma, like being around, being touched by Kyle. It was called the Kyle touch. My gosh. So I was like, where's the secret laboratory, Dallas? I'm still sitting there wondering why you're here in my house. They're asking me about this. And I had this Lego city set out in my whole room, where I place all these Lego creations, I put them all into like one big city type of thing. Creating it, making it like some, like the best like thing I can create with the small amount of Legos that I can actually afford. And then he's like, oh, what's all this? And like, getting down, obviously like, touching all of it. And it's like, that's it, my life's over. That's the end of my life. All of it's ruined. Everything I've worked for. But of course, I could not show him the secret laboratory because I did not have permission to just go down into it. As you imagine, like, 10-year-old is not really that suited for traveling down, like, a 20-foot long shaft safely. So yes, Kyle was just the person who was somehow in the whole school notoriously known to just, you just could not, it was he's a no-no. he's a no-no, like don't be around him. It's sad and funny at the same time. Sad because of the obvious nature of that. And then funny because of how ridiculous it is. Like if he went to the computer lab, whatever computer he was on, it's like, if someone was assigned to go to that computer afterwards, I remember they would literally start crying out loud. Like literally tears falling down because of how much they did not want to touch anything he touched. And yeah, like I said, if you're putting a group assignment with him, then forget it. Your social life is over. You think you have friends? Not anymore. They will disassociate with you. It'll take months for you to get to the point where people just forget about it. And by like, what I mean is like if people saw you like if he like grabbed your shoulder like just to mess around with you in public, like any kind of physical contact, it was like he literally had a plague or something. Like, just because he acted weird, like he was, like I said, overweight, and he picked his nose, and in public he was like, oh, he was really up in there, like, all the time. It's like, whoa, man, this guy's insane. But the whole group picking thing in school is annoying anyways. Like, God, man, the whole entire concept of that was just a frickin' tool. Don't even get me started. Like, the whole thing about being put into some group. Like, first of all, if you're a teacher, what kind of thing is going through your mind thinking it's a good idea to manually put kids in groups without them having any kind of say in it? Yeah, obviously you have the balance between not letting children just pick their friends or they just goof off the whole time, and also not completely just forcing them to go with the worst freaking person ever. This way they're not productive because they're not having a good time. Like, teachers just force you to go into a group of people to work with. Because, well, just, like I said, under the assumption of just, well, you can't pick your friends because that's never going to work. What is it with, like, the whole concept of school being like, nah, you can't have fun, because when you're having fun, you don't work. Like, what? It's the exact opposite. You only have fun. You only work efficiently when you're having a good time. Like, how could you work more efficiently when you're having a horrible time? Doesn't make any sense. Like, so they put you in groups, like they put me in a group. And it was so freaking embarrassing and annoying. Because it's like, yeah, obviously, I wasn't like a cool guy. I wasn't like a jock or some crap where I was like, oh, he's cool. But I also wasn't like Kyle. So I was just like some weird monkey in the middle. Like, no one really cared about me. But of course, I was like a normal like class clown. So obviously people would just view me, like, the overall outside the friend group, it would be like, oh, people viewing me as weird and cringy, whatever, what have you, like, you name it. So, like, I'd be, like, placed manually with, like, especially, like, with like, they'd be placing me with a group of other, like, females or girls. And, or girls, whatever. Whichever of those two. And they'd be like, they would verbally be like, "Oh no, 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 not him." And it's like, for fuck's sake, could you at least hold it in? Man, I mean, it wasn't as bad as like when the females would be placed with Kyle or something, when they'd start crying and like being like, "No, I wanna kill myself." Stop being such a little B word. Just deal with it. It's just not that big of a deal, alright? Look. And they do that with like basically anyone. Any like person they wouldn't like, any boy or any other girl. They'd be grouped and people just audibly say like, no! Like, Clayton and Cletus, you're gonna be partnered with Ashley. Ashley goes, "No! Oh no! Shut up! God, do you have any idea? Like, it's hurtful." Man. Man, you stupid. Yeah, that whole concept of teachers running their class is just... You got something to learn, that's for sure. Not me, if you're thinking that's a good idea to teach your class. Not trying to be a backseat teacher, but you don't do that. Just randomly put people... Like, you should just understand your class economy. You should understand your class's social structure to the extent where you can manually come up with a partner system, putting people with people who they would belong with, not just their best friends or they just goof off, but also not people you know that they're just gonna be like, "Oh no," out loud. It's like embarrassing and annoying. It's like, shut up, man. God, that's worse bullying than being chased, than being Kyle and everyone running away from you, because that's at least kind of fun. But just being like, someone saying that out loud in public, it's right as you're partner with them, it's just like your whole freaking life is just like, man, am I really just that bad of a person to be around? Like, people just have to scream out loud because they have to be around me? Like, it's freaking... Shut your ass up, man. And the way the classes work is in a way that, as if like every single class is teaching you that is expecting that you are aspiring to become a specialist in that certain field. Every math class is taught as if all the students are trying to become a mathematician. All the science classes are teaching as if they're expecting all the children to want to be freaking scientists. All the PE classes, don't even get me started on PE, are teaching you, they're treating their class as if every kid there signed up because they're trying to become Usain Bolt in the future. In reality, none of that is true about anyone, except for like 1% of people that just are good at everything. Like the Asians or something. But the place where they fall back on is PE, of course. That's where the white jocks or whatever. I'm not gonna turn this into some race thing, but let's just put it the way it is, all right? You don't want to deny reality, not my fault. All right, so yeah, that's like PE, man. It's like, that's the worst, because you know, with school classes, like, you can deal with it. If you're just a normal person, you could suck it up. Like, yeah, math class is taught like, you know, you're supposed to be super interested in math, even though it's just a bunch of arbitrary numbers that have no real life value. But, you know, you could put up with it, because you can physically get yourself to just do the work and submit it. PE, it's not that way, but it's the same exact thing. It's like, they teach you off of an they score you and they test you off an objective standard of performance, when people just... They don't all have the same physical structure to be good at things like that. Some people are just naturally not aerobic. They're not physically, genetically good like that. but they're still graded at how good they can do things. It's like, that's not cool. Like the whole thing, like the pacer test, don't even, man. Don't even with me, with that. Like, the people who, like, there's something about that test, like, where people were like, someone got sued. There was like there's some kind of suing going on about that, or it was shut down, or something got, like, whatever happened. It's like, yeah, it's about time. Are you kidding me? It's like, you just get graded on you just completely destroying your respiratory system. Like, I don't know much about all that because I only had to deal with that a couple times, but you know, my school is like, instead of that, every single week you'd have to do a mile-long run, which is 5 entire laps around the entire school perimeter. And you had no option. You had to do it every week. And guess what, man? You're graded. You're graded on it. Let that sink in. How fast you do it, not just your performance. Like how hard you're trying, but like how fast you do it. Like, there was a specific thing, like, generally it's like, if you do it in like 20 minutes or something, you get an A. If you get it done in 22 minutes, you get a B. 24 minutes, you get a C. 26 or below is a D or an F. I mean, and like, I would always just consistently get C's and D's because body's just not, I can't do that. Like, it's just, yeah, I could run short distances, but like long distances like that, people can't do that. Like, it's just, some people just are better doing that than others, but you have to suffer the consequences. You get a lower grade every week. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just, the system makes no sense. It is flawed. With that, like, you know, PE is really the only thing where that's the most problematic because of that. Like, other classes, it's like, you can deal with it. Like, children can deal with the fact that the system is stupid and it's based off of a structural bias. You know what I'm saying? Which is intending to expect every kid to want to do that, want to be interested in every single one of those subjects because the teacher is interested in that subject. They went through all the years of education in order to be able to educate other kids. So it's just like a intrinsic psychological bias. Like, even if teachers don't try to be like that, they themselves are super interested with the subject they're teaching, obviously. So they expect the kids to be, whether it's conscious or not. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not interested, the natural instinctual reaction from the teachers is not just understanding from a logical perspective, like, okay, not everyone's interested, but anger. Like, why aren't you doing good in my class? Why aren't you working harder? It's like, I'm sorry, physically, the mechanics up here in this machine called your brain is not meant to just work efficiently when you're not liking what you're doing. It just doesn't work as good. You could, like I said, you can get around it with normal non-physical activities. You could just deal with it. It's painful. You have to deal with it for 12 years. But stuff like PE, you can't change your body's being not capable of performing as good as other people. You just don't have that good of lungs. The only actual exception that you'd ever have is if you literally have like a medical condition like asthma. But you just having stubby, slow, dumb legs that don't work as good as someone else, that ain't a medical condition apparently. Too bad, you just get a D every single week. That's what's got to be changed about school. I'll tell you the problem with school. That's it. It's called putting a little bit more balance into everything. A little bit more common sense. Physical education should not be taught by an objective standard because there is no objective standard of people being good at that thing. Some people are just not good. And they're not trying to be good because they're not interested. So it should be based off of effort. Everyone should still have physical education and be forced to do exercise. But it should be based off of, like the teacher should be able to... The teacher should be more involved, you know what I'm saying? Like, the teacher should just understand more. Like, the way... Like, the actual students, and seeing, like, okay, this student is better than this one, and therefore I expect more out of them. And just seeing how, like... Seeing how good they try, like, and then that's their grade. Not, like, how fast they do a specific thing. Like, that makes no sense. Just like when they make groups of people, they should do it more logically rather than just like randomly picking names out of a hat or something. They should just know their students and be able to just make an arranged like organization of groups based off of their combinations that would work best. Not putting them with people that they just hate and despise, but also not just their worst enemies. This way, everyone's neutrally happy. There should just be more... There should be more awareness on behalf of the teacher. Like, they shouldn't be... Like, teachers' priorities should not be just plain objective numbers and scoring and testing like lab rats. Like, seriously, it's like you're a circus monkey all throughout school. You're just a freaking circus monkey. You're tested. It's like, man, what is this? That's all that's going on. If only they would just be able to restructure the system of that. Make it so that the teacher's main like prerogative is not just looking at the way of teaching through the scope of numbers and their bias of being super interested in whatever they're teaching, but it should be prioritized off of learning more about the students themselves, the way they think, the way they behave, and what they're clearly good and not good at, and therefore structuring the way that they are going to be taught based off that. Not just, well, you have to you have this scoreboard, and however good you do, that's how good you do. That just makes no sense. What is that? It doesn't even touch the road. Alright, that's gonna do it for today's video. We did about 18 kilometers. Now we're at 1,466 kilometers, I guess. It seems like the number doesn't change. Like, I guess we were only at 1,440 before? I thought we were closer to 1,500. I thought we were like 1,480. Don't you just hate, like, when that happens? Like, when you have a larger estimate in mind and you're, like, mentally prepared that that's what it's going to be, and then it's actually, like, less than that after you, like, add to it even. Like, yeah, that's basically what's going on here. So that's cool. Well, I mean, look, it still looks pretty dang impressive. Yeah, we're just cruising through North America. Just kidding, we're just grinding at the slowest pace possible. Thanks to yours truly. But I'm sorry, it's very hard to help it. One of these days, or weeks, or years, I will get back to doing once every single day. You can believe me or not. Wait. Alright. I had two numbers in mind and could not remember either of them. 843. Well, that's about it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.